All right, let's turn our attention to Sudan now, where thousands of people have been protesting in the capital, Khartoum. They're calling for a transition to civilian rule 2 months after a military coup. Security forces fired tear gas and restricted phone lines and internet services in an effort to stop the rallies. Sudan is currently led by an interim government of civilian and military leaders, but the pro-democracy movement is demanding that the military step back from politics.
Tear gas and water cannon against a growing movement angry at military rule. Sudan's capital, Khartoum, was once again the scene of mass pro-democracy protests. A military coup in October threw the country's transition to democracy into disarray, and the reinstatement of the military and civilian government a month later failed to ease anger at the army's power grab. We are here and we still believe in the 3 no's. No legitimacy, no bargaining, no partnership with the military. The military does not rule us, and we demand the handover of full power to civilians. We demand civilian democratic rule. Almost 50 people have been killed and hundreds injured in crackdowns on anti-coup protests since October. And there have been allegations of security forces raping women protesters. In the lead-up to Saturday's rally, the authorities blocked roads and bridges. Internet and phone lines were cut off. But the pro-democracy movement is still finding ways to stand together against military rule.
Let's bring in DW Africa correspondent Felix Maringa, who's been following the story for us from Nairobi. Hello to you, Felix. So what is the latest that you've been hearing from Sudan's capital?
Hi, so there were hundreds of thousands of protesters who flocked the Sudanese capital, Khartoum, earlier today. But this particular evening, a number of them have been retreating to whom the police used excess force. A lot of tear gas canisters were used, live ammunitions were used, and water cannons were used to disperse the crowds. A number of protesters have actually been arrested this evening, and the people continue to say that they will keep on piling a lot of pressure on the military so that they can see that the military has backed down.
Right. Well, as we know, the protesters are calling for the military to back down, but how likely is it that they're going to do that?
It is very unlikely that the military will actually step down or back down based on the recent developments, because like earlier today, the internet was cut off, so people were not able to communicate amongst themselves, and so they were not able to mobilize enough. But a protester I talked to this particular evening said that the military seems to be tired and getting tired with what the protesters are continuously doing to mount pressure on them. But it is very unlikely, because even the Prime Minister, who was reinstated, still has his powers clipped by the same military that people are expecting to back down. So whether the military will back down, it's very highly unlikely, especially following the recent developments.
That was DW's Africa correspondent Felix Maringa. Felix, thank you so much for your reporting.